What's up, so babies? It's your girl, Raven Rose. What's going on, y'all? So we're doing a little bit of protective style. The natural hair will come back, I promise you, but we just needed to, give her a little shielding, okay? But I want to kind of talk. So basically talking about, kind of like where my content's going a little bit, but I'm also going to come in with a smoke here too, okay? So just kind of bear with me. So I know it's been a minute since I posted horoscopes. I don't necessarily feel like doing traditional horoscopes. Now, for me, it's just that there are a lot of people who do that. And also, the way that I work, get a reading with me personally. I'll definitely get to the core of your issues and all that good stuff. So for me, it's just I want to do more inspired messages, more timeless messages, and just real talks, because that's what the fuck I'm about. And that's where my higher self is. And I was gonna do, I might pull some cards with this too, but I really want to talk about letting go. I really wanted to talk about that. Just because we've been through a lot of crazy ass changes, from really since 2017 to 2020, I think have been pretty significant years, and now we're in 2021 and we're doing all this. It's springtime here, in the US of A. So we're trying to rebirth ourselves, right? I'm noticing so often how people are trying to blossom, okay? And they're still holding on to damaged roots or damaged leaves or whatever foliage metaphor we're gonna go with. And this has been on my spirit a lot. Obviously, when we think about this, the Five of Cups definitely inspires this. It was actually a reading from a good friend that when she pulled the Five of Cups, that shit just clicked. That shit just clicked. The crying over the spilt milk, the being like, what the fuck, And especially when it comes down to love, opportunities, whatever area of life that it comes down to, that letting go piece is so fucking imperative, because you keep asking for new, but yet you're lamenting the old. You're sending mixed signals to the universe, and quite frankly, you're pissing off some of your ancestors because they're the ones that pulled you away from the fuck shit to begin with. So if they put so much energy into pulling you away from whatever darkness, whatever decay, whatever visceral energy that came through, then you have to stand your ground and you have to be replanted, okay? This is about being replanted. That's what really the springtime energy is all about. And this is just kind of like the message that I'm getting right now. And yeah, and it's just a halt to toxic behavior. Now, I'm going to be doing a lot more content about things that I'm observing in the spiritual community that can be perceived. Basically, I'm calling shit out. If I think it's toxic, if I think it's unhelpful, if I think it's like stunting the healing process, I'm going to let you know, and I'm going to have receipts, because guess what? I'm a good bitch. I'm always going to have receipts. This isn't calling anybody out in particular, but this is just about, here's the behavior, here's why it's toxic, here's the behavior that I think can be implemented in place of that. And I feel it's very important for me to do my content this way because, for one, I'm a spiritual teacher first, and I live what I teach. If there's certain content that I'm not consuming, or if there's certain things that my spirit is having me, do, there's a likelihood that I'm going to be teaching it in that way. And I wanted to, just again, be more real about it, So my thing is like the art of letting go, or the art of detachment, Detachment, I think, is the biggest lesson here. And especially for a lot of us who are still, again, and let's talk about attachment. And if you've heard of attachment styles, I'm sure in some neck of the woods. I'm not going to go into attachment styles really in depth. I'll link some other YouTube videos that explain that very well. But to give you an overview, this is how we basically it's pretty much self-explanatory. It's how we connect, how we latch on. Like a good wig clings to the head. Okay, that's just how that shit goes. Now, And when it comes to attachment styles, we have things, there are wounded attachment styles. Let's just call it that. Wounded attachment styles, meaning like when you're attaching to the person, the vibration that you're carrying or the energy or the emotions that you're carrying with that, either you're an insecure person or you have an insecure style attachment style. I had that attachment style where it's like, you're going to leave me, so I'm going to hold on as fucking hard as I can. And then you choke the life out of whatever your situation is. There's the fearful avoidance. And I went from one extreme to the other, and the fearful avoidance style, you kind of look at that bitch like, okay, you want to get close, and you're like, I don't trust you. And you push the person off, you push the person away. So that's also a style that tends to have unhealthy patterns. And our attachment styles, they are pretty much begin to solidify around our formative years, how we deal with our parents, how we deal with our friends, and how we deal with, those who we were growing up with, whatever our village style looked like. And attachment styles are not fixed. They're fluid, they're interchangeable. Like, you can adapt to one style and get to another one. What we're trying to do is have healthier attachment styles. But I don't think a healthy attachment style can be really achieved without a healthy detachment. And that's where the art of letting go comes in. Because when we healthily detach, we're not saying, bitch, you're not calling the person a bitch. You're not gonna be like, well, fuck you, and fuck your mama too, and dishonoring your whole family, dishonoring you, dishonoring your cow. And you're not going there. You're not going there. You can just let the person have their karma however way, and you're not injecting yourself into that person's situation or trying to. You ain't trying to do the most. You ain't trying to hold on. You just kind of say, okay, that's it. That's how it is. And detachment is a practice. I think people will say, it's like, well, I would love to detach, but the shit still bothers me. Well, it's an active practice. When we go through something that's painful, traumatic, our brains will sit there and ruminate on it, because it's like, how do I make this pain integrate? How do I make this pain worth something? And with the process of detachment and letting go, we kind of ease that mental frustration. We learn how to ease it. We learn how to think of things differently. We learn how to see the highest truth. And oftentimes, especially if you're getting a reading from me, I'm gonna tell you why the fuck you need to detach from the motherfucker and give you your own tools how to do it. My tools, may not work, what I do for myself, on a general level, may not work for everybody, but there's shit I do. For example, especially let's say you deal with some kind of, you have to disengage from someone, you have to have a no contact policy with someone, and you're like, wow, you might be missing the person, and you might be feeling those residual energies of missing that person. And then what I like to do is I like to burn blue candles. Why do I burn blue? Because for me, sadness has a bluish hue to it. It allows that energy to transmute itself. So I burn the blue candle to let that energy transmute, to let that energy go. And I'm a big advocate of writing shit down. Write down. If you have to rewrite the conversation as best you remember it, and then burn it later. I'm a big fan of burning letters and burning those things. If you have to print out pictures or print out text messages, do whatever the fuck you have to do in order to facilitate that process, and then to keep a healthy kind of mindset about it, that this person chose differently than I did, and my self-love is telling me to choose me and choose what's best for, not just for myself, but for my soul mission, my soul purpose. That's the shit I'm talking about, that's the shit. And really, I'm gonna pull some cards to kind of, help us with conceptualizing detachment a little bit further, because, I love cards, and I'm using my bad bitch deck, so I love cards. So this is what the fuck it is. And it doesn't matter really what sign you are, because I think this is a universal theme. Like, springtime is here, but some of y'all is about to recycle bullshit back into your life. Yup, and we don't want the bullshit to recycle. We want newness. We want, our authenticity to recycle and evolve. We don't want the fuck shit. Some of y'all. And I'm saying it like this because they've been hard on me in that area. They're like, Raven, if you want change, stop thinking about this motherfucker. If you want change, stop thinking about that situation that didn't work out. If you want change, stop ruminating. being a little intense right now, but girl, how you think my meditations be? Shit, I'm sorry. I'm giving y'all how I get it, God damn it. And a lot of this is, it's like, especially, the narrative. Detaching from the narrative first. People, okay, before I pull cards, let me just say this. How do I detach? Detach from the narrative. How do you detach from the narrative? Stop telling it to yourself. It goes to, well, we were soulmates, we were twin flames, this was supposed to be, my promised gig, my promised job. And I was just like, okay, bitch. Okay, detach from that narrative we created, and if it's something that you have to discuss with your ancestors of like why it didn't work out or da-da-da-da-da, well, you can get a reading, you can do some other things. I would even, before I even would go with a reading, just go directly to them. Go in your, I've had to light a white candle on my altar, just talk to my ancestors and be like, why the fuck did this not work out? And sit and meditate and wrestle with them until I'm like, okay, I understand. So even before you go get a session, not just from me, but from anybody, go and check that shit out yourself. Go and deal with that, and see what that looks like for you. You know what I mean? Try to, try to wrestle and transmute, and don't be afraid of the emotions. I know that this shit don't feel good, but emotions are supposed to, again, just teach us. They're supposed to teach us and teach us how we're supposed to get to one level or the other. Alrighty, so let me go and get, let's go ahead and get this crack-a-lacking, because why the fuck not? Alright, detachment, y'all. We're focusing on detachment. We're being real. Detachment. They love to fall. Okay, the Hierophant. All right, this is an interesting card when it comes down to the lesson of detachment. There's no particular spread. I'm just kind of pulling cards and just kind of seeing where it goes. But here's the thing. And a lot of this, now, here's where some of y'all have detached from something much older than the situation. Because sometimes we hold on to the situation because it's triggering us for other things. Remember that we talked about attachment styles, happen or really become solidified as, we're, in that formative years, when we're kids. And then we start and we believe certain ideas and they stick with us. The Hierophant goes, what ideas and what things came to you that may not resonate or might be limiting or holding you back? Because a lot of times I see the Hierophant as, well, because, my parents said this, or this person said this, or the preacher or the reverend said this. And it's just like, well, what spiritual authority did they have, and again, it might have worked then, but does it work now? So sometimes it's about going back and detaching from the actual thought, memory, or whatever the conditioning was, that whatever that origin seed was, you have to figure out, where did this belief about yourself, or this belief that it needs to be this way, come into play? Where is that, where does that, where it's, sorry, I'm kind of just words. Where does the shit really come from? Now, let's use this anecdote. Like, for me, I grew up in church, and a lot of people said, being gay, being this and this and this is a sin. And I'm trans. So when they said that, I was like, ouch. So for me, I had to detach from this idea or this kind of narrative that as a trans, as a queer, as an LGBTQ alphabet mafia reppin' bitch, that was going to lead me into a life of hell and destruction. I had to detach from that idea. And for me, working on that core belief or that limiting belief, I want to say, that shifted gears and helped me to be a little bit more confident. I'm still working on my confidence every day. That's part of my shadow work. But it definitely alleviated so more of my confidence and more of my authentic personality could shine through. So again, if there was like an idea like, oh, you're supposed to get married, you're supposed to be a good wife, get married, and you want to divorce this motherfucker, and you're like, well, but I was taught to stay in the marriage. But if this motherfucker is not making you happy, I'm going to quote one of my favorite quotes from Cheryl Strayed, wanting to leave is enough. Wanting to leave is enough. I was taught by the coach to never quit, never give up. If you don't enjoy the game, why play it? play a different game. And if you have, and I'm not just saying, this is just but this is detachment. So a lot of us, we're holding on to perfection. And I'm hearing like perfectionism. Now, this is also my sign of Taurus. And Tauruses have that stubborn energy. That's the lower frequency of Taurus. That stubbornness, that I've always done it that way. But the higher frequency is like, I can evolve. I can shape this. I can be a craftsman or craftswoman or whatever the crafts person, and just make this and create my own rules around it. I don't have to do it the exact same way I've seen it done. I can innovate on the shit because Taurus is an artist. At the base level, it can be very stubborn. It's like it's systems and processes, but at its highest expression, it is an artist. Taurus represents it's Venus and Vulcan, which when I do talk about esoteric astrology, but Vulcan is the planet that is the blacksmith to the gods. Okay, think of like Hephaestus in that sense. If y'all follow Greek mythology, again, crafting something different, creating something different. So it doesn't always have to be this way. And mind you, the sun and the moon in the book, revolving cycles. There are cycles where we have to be more lunar focused and cycles where we have to be more solar focused. And other times where we have to kind of go straight to the galaxy in and of itself. Focus on the nothingness. Okay, and actually this is like in the Osho Zen Tarot, I believe this is the nothingness card or the nothingness card. So again, that great void, that's where things go to create. That's where things go to deconstruct. Basically, don't use the excuse, but this is how I always done it. Baby girl, we gonna be stuck in that cycle for a minute, is we? So let's just flip that script, all right? Next thing, 8 of Wands, get the fuck out. I think of the movie Get Out when I see this card. The bitch have a dress and she like, she trying to get out that motherfucker. It's like, do different. This is about an action. Detachment is also about the action. Now, if there was like, oh my God, we used to ride this bike together and now we're not here, it's sad. Find a different bike path. Go to a different store. Try different foods. Like, y'all, don't be afraid to try some shit. Don't be afraid to, and again, don't be afraid of change when it comes to detachment, because you're like, the shit already changed, so you might as well adapt. And actually, this card kind of corresponds to my Sagittarius energy, which is the fluid fire, as I like to say. So again, I always incorporate a little bit of astrology to this, so as you're aware. So again, Sag, it's about moving on to the next goal. This fire done burned up them bridges, okay? Now you need a new fire, or you need a new goal or something like that. So it's about changing those goals, whatever those, especially when we're like, in situations when we've had that plan, but what do they say? You want to make God laugh, telling your plans, and ancestors are the same way. It's just like, bitch, you really thought that shit was going to be cute. And especially as a lot of us, who thought, let's make this distinction. Just because you felt now here's the thing about intuition. Sometimes we have to really, really examine if it's intuitive or if it's coming from wounded reasoning. Wounded reasoning can sound pretty damn intuitive because there is still, they both at the core have a sensitivity to things. The thing is about the wounded reasoning, it's trying to, again, get you to a point that feels safe. The intuition is just getting you to the point that is growth. Okay? And growth is uncomfortable. Safety is an entirely different thing. You might have felt safe with this person, and for some of y'all, it might be that even with the person treats you, I'm gonna use romantic. We're gonna use the romantic one or the relationship one. And again, romantic platonic. We're gonna have relationships as the core principle here, because it seems like a lot of us have a hard time detaching from people. I think some of us can accept, okay, I didn't get the job, fine, get something else. A lot of us have that logical reasoning, but it's like that tug towards another person. Understanding that, first of all, we have to recognize that, for one, separation is kind of an ego thing. Everyone's connected in one shape or form or the other. Yes, that's true. But in terms of like the narrative, again, you're like, this person doesn't have to signify the end or the genesis of your divine truth. You're an infinite being. So this person cannot define you in whatever relationship that was in. Whether that's, I'm gonna speak especially, if you've had like a very troubled or toxic relationship, whether that be with, family members, relatives, if you had to, or any type of estrangement, from family, or even if you're talking about, ending a toxic cycle in a friendship or a relationship, we gotta do what we gotta do. Listen, our souls chose these situations to learn. They did not author any point of our character and any point of our authenticity. No one is the author of your authenticity besides you. Okay? Next card, King of Cups. Emotional soundness, emotional grounding. I like this card. And one of the things we have to understand about detachment, it just is. We don't look at like why the person messed up or why, this didn't work out. It just simply the fuck is. It just simply is. And part of, I think, the strength of the King of Cups is to understand, what worked, what didn't work, and to still remain. And I like the upright. It's giving me much more like a upright, like Pisces or Cancer energy. Like, you're not gonna love any less. You're just gonna love smarter. You're gonna love with more consciously. I like the word conscious. How about that? We're gonna love more consciously. We're not gonna just throw ourselves out. And this is kind of, again, very interdependent. Whereas, a lot of us who are struggling with detachment, 9 out of 10 have codependency as an issue. We're trying to breathe the wisdom to say, okay, do I really need this, or am I just telling myself I need this? The 5 of Wands. The hardest part I think about the detachment is like, again, when we look at the Wands energy, we got 2 Wands cards, which is interesting. So when I look at 5 of Wands and when it comes to detachment, that is like, how you think about something and you get mad all over again and you want to, you're like, okay, I'm good. But then you think about the person, or something triggers you about the person, and then you're ready to drive over there and run the bitch over with your car. Is that just me? Okay, all right. That's just at least how my mind works, okay? This is actually talking about, again, I love this card in this deck because I call it the Witch's Triumph. Why do I call it Witch's Triumph? Because in one hand, you can look at it as a struggle, or other hand, you can look at it as surrender and channeling. I choose to look at this as surrender and channeling, okay? You're surrendering the outcome. You're surrendering whatever possibility that was with that person and releasing to new outcomes, new possibilities, new ways of thinking and exploring things, all right? Yeah, letting go doesn't have to be so scary. I think that's the biggest thing. Detachment, letting go doesn't need to be scary. There can actually be a beauty in this. One of the reasons why I fell in love with this deck is this card. And there's another card in there that's very important and sacred to me in that deck as well. It actually sits on the altar at all times, actually. Yeah, the reason why I fell in love with this deck was that because in the midst, you don't have to participate in the energy crisis. And that's why sometimes I don't like to do horoscopes. For one, when you're talking to general audiences, now this is not a knock against anybody who does general horoscopes, so let's just talk about it. Let's say you are trying to get over said person, and you log on to Sister Cabbage Patch's tarot spread reading, okay? And she brings up so-and-so person and the possibility of them coming back and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, oh my God, the spirit are trying to tell me he's coming back. Well, your subconscious is also playing a big role in what's manifesting. And if you are trying to get over someone, your subconscious may not be on that same page. Your subconscious might be stuck in that energy. And therefore, the only way to kind of get unstuck is to work out and surrender the emotions, surrender the outcomes of the situation in order to your subconscious to breathe something else. So a lot of times it is a subconscious attunement that the reader might be picking on. Again, horoscopes have their validity, of course, but keep in mind, everything is general. the thing is, it's like if the person is not attuned to your specific energy signature and can tell you if this is a healthy thing for you to, maybe you need to revisit the situation and clear up some karma. Maybe you do, or maybe you don't. Maybe you're done. And that's one thing I don't hear enough in the horoscopes. It's like, baby, maybe you're done. And this is my favorite quote, my favorite part in the Sex and the City movie, where Charlotte's like, of course something bad's gonna happen. And Carrie's like, sweetie, you shit your pants. Maybe you're done. Like, at the end of the day, the shit happened, the shitstorm happened. You and this person, this situation are no longer compatible, are no longer healthy for one another. Let it be done. And sometimes it's just that simple. Sometimes it's just that simple. And I mean, I'm going to get on the topics of twin flames because y'all may not like me for that one, but I might talk about it anyway because some of y'all need to understand where this energy comes from. Some of y'all need to understand how that vibration truly resonates. Yeah, y'all might not like me for that one, but at this point, I don't give a fuck. In my ASMR voice, I don't give a fuck. Sorry. Okay, I kind of want to pull 2 more cards here. Interesting. Okay, we have the Justice card. Now, the Justice card is always about that balance. And again, Libra at its highest energy, because again, this is the energy for Libra, it is talking about equanimity. And the Buddha talks about this equanimity, meaning like you have your karma, I have mine. That's it. It's about just letting things fall into balance and understanding, once you really begin to dive deep and really see the situation for what it is and see where where the disharmony, whenever there's disharmony, it's saying, okay, there was something that was lacking for both of you to be cohesive in that situation. So if that's the case, look at the disharmony. What was out of balance? Was the communication out of balance? Was the emotional receptivity out of balance? Was the good grief, was the sex out of balance? I mean, I don't want to, I'm a vulgar bitch, so I'm just gonna be vulgar. If this is just me, if daddy can't hit the mommy can't hit the the way you want it to, then why? Girl, ain't nothing worse than sour pickle, okay? Ain't nothing worse than sauerkraut. Like, no, like, why do y'all put up with this shit? Maybe because in my mindset, I've learned to be a little bit more selfish. And I don't think selfish is a bad word. I've learned to be a little bit more selfish when it needs to. Of course, I'm an empath. I can't be completely not selfish because as a conscious empath, I'm aware of what emotions do and what my energy signature does to other people. So I can never fully go into just be completely self-centered. But the selfishness that I'm talking about is just self-preservation, to be honest with you. Meaning, like, if it ain't knocking my socks off, why the fuck am I entertaining the shit? If I'm not getting something for my soul besides frustration, and frustration is a low vibration, why the fuck am I putting up with it? You know what I mean? The next card here is, now we got all the kings coming out, and I think that's being very, kings to me, they can be decisive. And sometimes, because detachment is sometimes burning bridges, kings are the best part of that burning bridge type energy, in my opinion. And you got the King of Wands. King of Wands, some of y'all might need to embrace that righteous anger for a little bit. Don't stay in there, but embrace that for a little bit and give yourself permission to be like, and so, the beautiful part about detachment is that you can actually be honest with yourself about everything you felt and about the situation. You're like, God damn it, well, that did piss me off. Or, oh, man, God damn it, da 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 da. There's something about getting back to that fire. There's this fire that's inside of him. There's this fire inside of you that's trying to get the fuck out. There's this energy that is trying to really roar. Like, you shall hear me roar, bitch. You shall hear me roar, motherfucker. Like, I don't know what fucking else to tell you. I got the eye of the tiger. Whatever the fuck you want to jingle you want to put to that shit. It's that roar. And that detachment says, I'm gonna let that shit go. Sometimes burning bridges is okay when you don't need to go back to that musty ass town. And you have to look at where you're burning the bridges to. Yes, there's a time for amicability and all that kind of stuff, but the thing is, I don't believe in cookie cutter or anything. I don't. There is a time for amicability. There is a time for, you can have an open communication with someone. And sometimes it's healthier not to have no contact. And the thing is about authenticity, it allows you to do things on your own terms. And don't y'all be afraid to do shit on your own terms. Like, girl, boy, fabulous one. Come on now. 2021, it's a 5-year change, authenticity, rebellion. I really like the rebellion energy that comes from it. It's very, very pertinent that we do that. It's very pertinent. Sometimes the detachment is this is the big lesson that we are learning, right now. And it's just like, you taking what you need to use and leave the rest of the bullshit. Just leave the rest of the bullshit, all right? So I hope that this format, actually, no, I like this format, so I'm gonna keep it. So if you enjoyed it, I hope you come back next week for some more shit. My name is Raven Rose. If you do want a personal reading, or if you do want some of this fire, this Ace of Swords energy, then you girl go to the description. Go look a bitch up. We have some fun. Yeah, I'm gonna try to be more active on social media and all that fun shit. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, do all that fun shit for me, okay? Bye. Happy detachment. And one thing before I said all the goodbye shit, and they said, you got one more thing to say. Look at detachment as liberation. If you can reframe detachment as liberation, it's gonna be so much easier, okay? Look at detachment as liberation. I mean, look, Libra, liberty, again, the scales of justice, balance. The shit left so that you could find your purest, authentic balance. And now I'm done. Bye, loves.